Hello again. We're looking in Geometry Part 2. This is Lesson 11-2 about surface area of prisms and cylinders. And specifically, we're going to be looking at problem number 2 here. Now, what is the surface area for the prism at the right? Now, there's several steps to be able to do that. One is we got to find the perimeter of the base. Now, the bases are the two that match each other, which a lot of times I say top and bottom, but if this were laying on its side, it would be left and right. So it's the two shapes, and only two, that match each other are considered the bases. Now I know that side's 3 and that side's 4, so what has to happen is, since that's a right angle there, we can use the Pythagorean theorem to say 3 squared plus 4 squared equals 5 squared, and what you would have to do is, of course, 3 squared plus 4 squared equals c squared kind of thing. And then to take the square root, it would be the square root, which is what you're seeing right here, the square root of 3 squared plus 4 squared, which does end up being 5. So this ends up being 5 right here. So that would be the first step if it was not already given to you. Secondly, we have to find the lateral area of the prism, and the formula that was given to you is this right here. To find the lateral area, which are the sides, okay, the back side, the other back side, and then this front side right here, is you take the perimeter and you multiply it by the height of that particular prism. Okay, so if we add the 3, the 4, and the 5, of course we end up with 12. So the perimeter is 12, and the height, if you look right here in the picture, is 6. So 12 times 6 is where they're getting 72. Now that's the area of the sides, which is called the lateral area. All right. Now, let me move this down a little bit more so we can see the other steps and erase some of this so we can see it a little better. Step number 3, to find the area of the base. Since the area of the base was a triangle, then we're going to use the area of a triangle, which is 1/2 base times height. So it's 1/2. The two that came together to make the 90-degree angle were the 3 and the 4. That's your base and your height always. And so in this case, it's 1/2, 3 times 4. Well, 3 times 4 is 12, and half of 12 ends up being 6. Now, the fourth step is simply add the two together. We found out that the lateral area was 72 and that the base area was 6, but that was just the area for one of them. Remember, bases, there are 2. So notice that it's the lateral area times 2 times the base, because there's always 2 of them. So 72 times 2 times 6, which is 12. 12 and 72 end up making 84. So it's 84 square centimeters. Now, number 2 is a little bit more difficult, or in the got it section here. What is the lateral area of the prism at the right? Well, this time it's a little easier in the sense of all of these are the same. So if this is 6, this is 6, this is 6, all the way around right here. So that's going to end up being, the perimeter is going to end up being 36 here. That was a little easier than what we had to do before. It gets a little harder in one of the other sections. So if we want to find the lateral area, remember, lateral area is the perimeter times the height. And this one's laying on its side this time instead of up and down. But we have a hexagon as my bases. So again, the perimeter was 36, and the height of that is going to be this right here, even though it's laying on its side. So 36 times 12 is where we end up, and of course that gives you 432, and we are in square meters this time. So that's our lateral area. Now we work our way to the area of the base, which is part B. The area of the base, you have to end up making a triangle here and splitting that down the middle, and what will happen is, I don't know that height. However, I know that when you split this, it makes equilateral triangles. So all those are 6. And I know if I split that in half, that's 3. So I know that the height, because when you split an equilateral triangle, it turns into a 30, 60, 90 triangle. So the height here of this small triangle, not the height of the whole prism, but the height of this triangle, is going to be 3 square roots of 3. And that, again, that's based on you having the knowledge of how to do a 30, 60, 90 triangle. That if the long side's 6, the short side is 3, and the longer leg would be 3 square roots of 3. So the base here is a total of 6. So it's going to be 6 times, 3 square roots of 3. And if we multiply that together and take half of that, so it's going to be 1/2 6 times 3 square roots of 3. Anyway, that ends up being like 15.59, something like that. But that's just one triangle. Actually, if you split it up, there's going to be a total of 6 of them. So you've got to multiply your answer by 6, and you're going to end up with something like 93.5. And that would be the area of that hexagon. Now, hexagons are a little bit more tedious and time-consuming than some of the other ones. But now, also remember that when you're going to add the lateral area plus the area of the thing, remember it's 2 times the area of the base. So this time it's going to be 2 times 93.5. And 2 times 93.5 is 187.05. I left a few more numbers in there when I was leaving it in the calculator. And then when you add that together, that's roughly 619.06 square meters. Okay. But again, it's the same formula as you see in the example above. It just was a little bit, and it says round to the nearest whole number, so we'll just say 619. Okay. So the surface area, total surface area, would be the lateral area plus the 2 times the base area, which is 619. All right. Hope this was helpful.